Alrighty, guys, so here we are again. Different day, same grind. This time we're going to be talking Cloak and Dagger. This will be a review of episode 2, Suicide Sprints. If you haven't seen my first review on the first episode, First Light, go ahead and check that out. I will put a link somewhere around here and make that easy for you guys to access. With all that being said, this will be a spoiler review, so if you have not seen the episode, go ahead and watch that and then come back here and listen to my review. Now, without further ado, let's jump right in. This episode instantly capitalizes on the slow-paced progression of episode 1. You feel instantly rewarded as a viewer because you get some more answers to your questions, and that is the key to developing a slow-paced TV series. You need to properly pace out the rewards for your audience. Like, we sat through episode 1 getting a lot of questions. We didn't know what was going on. Episode 2, a lot of those questions are answered. And that is great because I felt like, okay, I'm starting to see where this story is going. I'm starting to see what's happening here. And that's where that dichotomy, that Cloak and Dagger logo comes into play. Tandy, as I said before in the first review, she's a bad person. She became a bad person after losing her father. And I'm not saying that she's morally deep down a bad person, but right now she's making a lot of bad person decisions. And what you see throughout the episode with her storyline, she's going on the run. She just stabbed a dude with a light dagger. Quick tangent. How do you tell the police that you got stabbed with a dagger of light? Tell me how that works out. If this isn't set in the MCU, then they're not believing that you just got stabbed with a dagger of light. But back to the point at hand. She's going on the run. She has to go on the run with her boyfriend Liam, who's supporting her. He's pushing her throughout the whole way. She even says to him, "You've always stood by my side. You've always supported me." And this comes into play later in the episode. So they go to a wedding. She has to scrounge up the rest of the money to get her counterfeit IDs and documents so she can go on the run. And she has a vision, a flash, of Liam wanting them to be married, of Liam envisioning their best life. And that scares her. She pushes him away. Now, this kind of plays on a vision earlier where Tandy was confused about why was I seeing my mother and father talk about how great they think I can be, their hopes for me. This is kind of played on. I'm started with the second vision because this is where it started to come into play for me. This is where I started to figure out what's going on a little bit. She's seeing the hopes of these people, but she's a bad person, and that scares her. She doesn't want to be involved in like, oh, you want to marry me? I'm not ready for that. I'm not at that point in my life. And she got to see the expectations her mother and father had for her. These are a lot of things that if you're in a dark place, you probably don't want to hear about the good things. You're scared of the good that can come, if that makes sense. I'm not a psychologist, but I hope you guys understand what I'm trying to say. Now, moving on to Tyrone on the flip side of the spectrum, the Cloak to the Dagger. He is a good guy, relatively. He's trying to live his life. He's doing the best he can to move on from his brother's death, even though he starts plotting revenge against his brother's killer now. He's stalking him. He's missing practice. That's where the suicide sprints come into play. He's right around the corner raiding with bats. He's on this dude's tail. But later in the episode, he's sitting with his mom and he's asking her, how did you pick yourself back up after this horrible tragedy? And he tells her, I had no choice. I had to keep going. That's pretty much the gist of what she says. He goes to touch her, and he gets this dark. It's grim. It starts off. The visions are, you can instantly see one is dark, one is light. They made sure they filtered that right. She's with her two boys before he dies. They're both young in a grocery store. They both run off into this back room. Bow, bow. 2 shots go off. And she walks around to the back room, and her boys are dead. So what I gather from that is that he, as the good guy, as the good church-going Catholic school dude, he sees all the people's nightmares, their worst nightmares, and the fear inside of them, while the bad person sees the light and hope of people. And that's just an interesting dichotomy. And it's such a a double contrast of everything that's going on. You know, it's crazy, and I was really intrigued by that. And at first I was kind of like, okay, where's this episode going? Where's this episode going? And then after realizing that and seeing what their powers was about, I was like, dang, this could be a really good show. This show has the potential, as long as they don't get too cliche, as long as they stick grounded and don't try to make it too superhero-y. I know that's like, it's a superhero show. What are you saying? I'm saying that if they keep these core concepts intact, this could be a great show. This is a very interesting concept. I'm surprised I've never really explored these characters more. But with all that being said, guys, that's how I felt about Cloak and Dagger Episode 2, Suicide Sprints. Let me know what you thought in the comment section down below. If you've even started watching the series, Episode 3 does air tomorrow. I will have a review the day after that. With all that being said, guys, like the video if you like the video, dislike the video if you dislike the video, and subscribe to be a part of the first 100. Yes, we are making a push for 100. All right, guys.